I know why you choose to have your little group therapy sessions in broad daylight. I know why you're afraid to go out at night. The Batman.
What do you propose?
It's simple. We kill the Batman. See, Batman has shown Gotham your true colors, unfortunately. Dent, he's just the beginning.
How much you want?
Half. You're crazy. I'm not. No, I'm not.
When was the last time you watched a movie and said, wow, that bad guy is epic? We live in an age of comic book movies, which is great for me, with strong, heroic protagonists who save the world over and over again from lackluster bad guys. Nearly every antagonist committed to screen in recent years has fallen into the same tired-old tropes of men in suits, or crazy people with paper-thin motives for trying to take over the world or get revenge on our heroes. To find the last truly great comic book movie antagonist and one of the most perfectly realized bad guys in cinematic history, you have to go all the way back to 2008 with Heath Ledger's astounding portrayal of the Joker in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight. Not only is he a fantastic antagonist, but he's also an antagonist that complements our hero, Batman. Writers often mistakenly think of the antagonist as a character that needs to look and sound evil, or just do evil things. Instead, we have to approach the antagonist structurally in terms of how they function in the story being told. In John Truby's The Anatomy of Story, he addresses this issue by saying, a true opponent not only wants to prevent the hero from achieving his desire, but is competing with the hero for the same goal. If you give your hero and opponent two separate goals, each one can get what he wants without coming into direct conflict, and then you have no story at all. In The Dark Knight, both the Joker and Batman are competing for the soul of Gotham. Joker thinks that anarchy and chaos are the antidote for the city's miserable condition, while Batman believes that law and order are what's needed to fix Gotham, and this puts them in direct conflict with one another. Whenever I think about The Dark Knight, my mind wanders to the opening sequence where we first meet the Joker in the process of a daring and, for his gang members, ruthless bank robbery. Before I dig into the scene, let's think about the sequence as a whole. The entire first 5 minutes or so of the movie is given over to the introduction of the Joker, our baddie, not the hero. Batman doesn't actually appear on screen until 8 minutes into the film, 7 if you count the fake Batman, and by then, his appearance is a tad anticlimactic after the stunning sequence that preceded it. The entire opening gambit is beautifully framed and plays out like a demented version of the bank heist in Michael Mann's Heat, a film from which The Dark Knight draws a lot in terms of stylistic choices and atmosphere. The robbery is simple, but it reveals so much about the Joker. He's essentially organized for a group of thieves to rob a bank controlled by the mob. Each person has a specific function in the robbery, but is unaware of the overall plan. He's also told a handful of them to kill the people they're working with once they've finished their role, ensuring that he will walk away with the money alone. This tells us more in 5 minutes than most other films can do with a full runtime. The Joker is a genius strategist. He has some big balls and is utterly fearless to go against the mob. He is ruthless and also works alone. This parallel to Batman is very deliberate. As an audience member, we know that the character with the strange voice is the Joker, even though the rest of the gang sport the same clown mask. We know it, but we still sit on the edge of our seats as we wait for the reveal. Stylistic camera angles, tense music, and a shed load of school buses are employed to great effect as the scene builds up to a crescendo and the Joker is revealed, scars and all.
I believe whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger.
My man Michael from Lessons from the Screenplay has a fantastic video on why The Dark Knight has the ultimate antagonist. Links in the description, so please check it out after this video. But one of the things he points out is that when creating a great opponent for the protagonist, you need to make sure that they're exceptionally good at attacking the hero's weakness. Batman's strength is his ability to intimidate through his scare tactics, his costumes, his advanced gadgets, and most importantly, his power. But the Joker has an incredible way of making all of these useless against him. I talk about the interrogation scene in my other video on the Joker, but what the Joker does in this scene really well is turn the tables on Batman. Bruce thinks that he's in control, but the scene plays out like a counter-interrogation.
You let 5 people die. Then you let Dent take your place. Even to a guy like me, that's cold.
When Batman tries to use the same tactics as he has done in the past with lesser criminals, the Joker laughs and tells him that he has nothing to threaten him with, and that his strength is useless against him. In one critical moment, the Joker has transformed Batman's greatest strengths into his weaknesses. It's also important to consider Batman's most important rule. He absolutely does not kill to achieve his goals. The Joker is well aware of this and turns this moral fortitude into a weakness. After all, he gives Batman a number of opportunities to kill him, which would have prevented the deaths of many people. But because Bruce is unwilling to break this rule, his strength, and the means by which he's able to differentiate himself from the criminals he fights, is turned into a weakness. Everyone who's ever read a Batman comic knows that the Clown Prince is the embodiment of chaos, but translating this unpredictability to celluloid can sometimes be difficult and seemingly random. There's nothing that vents a movie's narrative steam quicker than having a character do something from left field or employing an event that is disparate to the rest of the story. But the Joker works because he never sways from his own claim that he is an agent of chaos. He has no human moments, and his only motives are to disrupt both the good and bad characters within the film. In early scenes, you were deliberately left feeling that despite his words, the Joker is a money-hungry bank robber, intent on stealing the mob's cash. But when he finally gets his hands on this mountain of money, he sets it on fire. Money isn't his driving force, chaos is.
Some men aren't looking for anything logical, like money. They can't be bought, bullied, reasoned, or negotiated with. Some men just want to watch the world burn.
At a time when villains are given sympathetic characteristics and have relatable motives in an attempt to give them a human side, the Joker is deliberately inhuman. He wants to watch the world burn and has no urge to play nice. In lesser hands than Christopher Nolan's, this could have come across as campy or mean-spirited, but with a combination of expertly written dialogue and a great actor filling the character's shoes, the Joker is a breath of fresh air in an otherwise roll call of facsimile antagonists. The most terrifying thing about Heath Ledger's Joker is that we know he's right. His idea that chaos is a cure for the undoubted shitty status quo in Gotham is hard to disagree with. He has a plan that works, even if it's brutal in its execution. Batman, and to a lesser extent Harvey Dent, have tried for years and failed to bring any semblance of order to the swamp of a city. We relate to the Joker's motives, even if we can't relate to his actions. Other comic book movies, and movies in general, should take note from how The Dark Knight puts the Joker front and center. Yes, Batman and Bruce Wayne are the main focus of the story, but they don't drive it. The Joker's actions push the narrative along, and as a viewer, you're constantly waiting for the Joker's next move. The Joker in The Dark Knight gives little in the way of motivation for his actions, except for an ever-changing and expertly delivered monologue. I mean, who can forget the "why so serious" line of how he got his scars? But at the end of the day, we don't need a long history of how the Joker came into being. We just need to see him on screen, expertly acted, doing his stuff, and giving purpose to our heroes. Ironically enough, I have a detailed video going over my theory as to what his origins are in the movie, to make sense of how he was able to bring Gotham to its knees on his own, which I'll be leaving a link to below. But in terms of functionality, all of that is irrelevant, because he is more terrifying when we know nothing about him. He is, quite simply put, an unstoppable force that meets an immovable object. What's also astonishing about the Joker is that he wins. Both Batman and Joker hedge their bets on Harvey Dent. Batman sees how dedicated Dent is to bringing an end to crime in Gotham, and his ability to get people to rally behind him, which leads to him getting the nickname the White Knight, a symbol of hope that Batman believes he could never be. He's wrong. Watch the end of The Dark Knight Rises. But instead of being a champion of Batman's ideals of law and order, Dent is corrupted by the Joker and transforms into Two-Face, the ramifications of which included the undoing of everything they'd achieved, the loss of hope in the hearts of Gotham folk, and a risk of chaos bringing the city to ruin.
The Joker chose me because you were the best of us. He wanted to prove that even someone as good as you could fall. And he was right.
Sure, the civilians and prisoners that were on board the boats that were rigged to explode survived, and Batman was able to prevent the Gotham police from accidentally killing civilians that were disguised as bad guys, in addition to actually catching the Joker. But the Joker corrupted the very symbol that was supposed to heal the city, forcing Batman to take the blame for Harvey's appalling crimes, so as not to tarnish the bill he had passed, which had successfully cleaned up Gotham. Batman is broken by this and goes into a self-imposed exile. Commissioner Gordon is equally broken and carries the secret with him, which transforms him into a shell of his former self. This isn't a superhero movie that ends on an uplifting note. The Dark Knight literally ends with our hero losing and running away as a fugitive. The truth that Harvey Dent had fallen from grace is then made public in The Dark Knight Rises, with Bane using it to justify his mission to
Upset the established order.
That was Joker's plan all along. He wins and changes our heroes forever. Heath was given permission to be as unpredictable and free as the character he was playing. A rough outline of the sequence of events was planned, but everything in between was deliberately as erratic and chaotic as a Joker. Every time Ledger's Joker enters a scene in The Dark Knight, he becomes the center of attention and steals the spotlight from the other on-screen characters. When you think about some of the other actors in the film, like Oscar winners Christian Bale, Gary Oldman, Morgan Freeman and Michael Caine, you begin to understand how big this achievement is. Ledger winning an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor was the least he deserved for The Dark Knight, and, let's be honest, shouldn't have been his first. His win was not just a nod to his sad death, but was a truly deserved acknowledgement of his ability to imbue the Joker with a timeless quality few other movie villains have. His performance of the Joker and the excellence of his character's function in the story in relation to the protagonist is the reason I think that Heath Ledger's Joker is the perfect movie antagonist. With that having been said, that's all for today, folks. Don't forget to hit subscribe and click the notification icon to stay up to date on all my content, and if there's anything else you'd like to request, please don't hesitate to ask. As always, it's been a pleasure. Niyat here with Film Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.
Nothing. No matches on prints, DNA, dental. Clothing is custom, no labels. Nothing in his pockets but knives and lint.